you think the aid got there? You think they just swam into Jamaica?
Nobody can cross it. Nobody can cross it. Nobody can cross it. It's only who understand it. Like a fisherman and a fisherwoman.
Welcome to Owen Allen Media. Prime Minister Andrew Holness finally admitted in Parliament what Jamaicans on the ground have been saying from day one. The government was slow in responding to Hurricane Melissa, but the excuse he gave stunned even me and the country. He said the delay happened because one person responsible for leading the hurricane disaster response was sick. That person, fell ill. That explanation is embarrassing for a nation of almost, 3 million people. It means that the entire emergency response system of Jamaica rested on one man. Not a coordinated team or a prepared national mechanism or anything like that.
Jamaica, anything. Now, Mr. Speaker, I am the first one to say that in the immediate response, there was a scramble. We don't deny that because we have never had this before. Institutions, funny enough, Mr. Speaker, the members from Westmoreland made a very strong case that the disaster response was slow and ineffective. And I reflected on it. I did, because every criticism, I take it and I look at it, because if I am wrong, I'm the first to admit. In the same way that when I looked at the response, I said in the first 3 days, we were all just trying to run around and trying to get things done. And you know why, Mr. Speaker? Because the member will tell you that the disaster manager for the parish fell ill, had a stroke, and that key person in the coordination of the response was not available. But I wouldn't only use that as a response, as an excuse. There were persons who lost their roofs, who were cut off, had no telecommunications, we couldn't find them. So to say that our response was slow, it's not just a lie, it's unfair.
While the government failed, the real first responders were the dancehall artists, the Shaggy, Sean Paul, Buju Banton, VybzKartel, Spice, Massacre, and many others, right? These entertainers were the ones distributing food, supplies, and checking in on communities while the government aid crawl like snail, slow.
How you think the aid got there? You think they just swam into Jamaica?
Nobody can cross it. Nobody can cross it. It's only who understand it. Like a fisherman and a fisherwoman.
No, Andrew Holness defend his administration, insisting that the government cleared roads and delivered aid, and argued that people were only seeing police officers because they were the ones transporting the help. But in reality and in actuality, the people on the ground, right, the people who are suffering, were affected by Hurricane Melissa, did not see their representatives. They saw more of the dancehall artists that I speak about delivering care packages than anything else.
So I see people saying, I don't see nobody from the government. The only person I see is from the Lacovia police station. How you think the aid got there? You think they just swam into Jamaica? The government opened the airport. The government cleaned the road. The government escorted them. Don't talk nonsense. To ensure that all the people who you see out there who want to give aid to Jamaica, that they are able to do it. You think they come here without ensuring that there are security guarantees? Who you think gives them the security guarantees? You think the stock that they have just move automatically, just materialize where they are? How many convoys you see moving with the security forces carrying them through? Don't talk nonsense about there was no government presence. I want to give commendation to the police. The JCF needs special recognition in this disaster, because with roofs blown off, no electricity, they stood up When I went to Black River, the police station was destroyed, nothing. They didn't have any electricity. One of my first order of business was to secure generators. I gave 4 generators to police stations. I don't go out and make this public because that's not my role or my job, but I did it just to make sure that there was a center of response. Yes. When we went into communities, we realized that all businesses were destroyed. And right now, we have stood up a program where we are supporting businesses re-emerging. The member from Eastern Westmoreland would know that we're going to help White House, that we have in White House both the Ministry of Investment and Commerce and the Factories Corporation. Their target, their response.
Jamaica has roughly 20% of the equity in JPS. To summarize, one is the timeline for JPS to fund the 200 million gap and whether you would ensure that that funding is in place before you expose our $150 million.
Now, opposition leader Mark Golding raised one of the most important questions in Parliament. How can Jamaica, who owns 20% of JPS, yet still be the one lending JPS money? Right? A company whose license the government is considering not to renew in 2027. Now, if the government refuses to extend JPS license in 2 years, how will the government guarantee it? Them are going to get back their money? How can you lend US $150 million to a company you might not allow to operate after 2027?
The license expires, I think July 2027. Notice has been given, triggering the consequences of license termination. Jamaica has roughly 20% of the equity in JPS. The funding gap, based on the recently done work to do the restoration of the grid, including substations, transmission, posts, etc., distribution lines, is around $350 million US. So our 20%, if you're looking at us as a shareholder, our 20% would be 70 million. But we are actually taking the risk of lending an unsecured loan to JPS of 150 million, which is twice the proportion of the equity that we hold in the business. So unsecured is you have the collateral to seize. You're relying on a mechanism to get it back, which I'm going to speak to in a second. So my question to you is, first of all, the other 200 million, which is currently not funded, but which is necessary to achieve the timelines that you have indicated for restoration, what is the assurance that that 200 million will be raised on a timely basis so as to enable the necessary expenditures to be made by JPS to hit the targets, which are presumably fairly aggressive targets given the extent of the damage to the grid and so on? What level of confidence do you have that that 200 million will be raised by them? And what is the time frame that it has to be raised by for that target to be met? I'd like to know the time frame for that. So I'll summarize. One is the timeline for JPS to fund the 200 million gap and whether you would ensure that that funding is in place before you expose our $150 million.
So them use taxpayer money and give JPS, then JPS repay that by charging the same people them more higher electricity bills. Now, Energy Minister Daryl announced that Cabinet has approved US $150 million loan to JPS to speed up national power restoration after Hurricane Melissa. Now, the thing is that JPS says it cannot restore power before April and around May 2026 without financing. They request a 15-year extension of their license expiring in 2027 to secure loans abroad. Now, the government refused to extend the license. Now, Daryl said that granting an early extension would break the government's commitment to Jamaicans that that JPS would not automatically be renewed under the old terms. Now, Daryl said PNP is wicked and evil, but if taxpayers lend JPS the money, right, the US 150 million, and JPS recovers that money from taxpayers through electricity bill, isn't that the real wicked and evil? This is what Minister Vaz had to say.
Indicate very clearly for all of Jamaica to hear the meeting that we had yesterday morning, where the Minister of Finance and the Financial Secretary was there. We ironed out a way forward, realizing the seriousness and the time-sensitive nature of this response. So the first answer to your question is that this government is prepared on behalf of the people of Jamaica to release the $150 million in whatever tranches are required as quickly as possible to get the restoration going. And that's the difference between a caring government and somebody who has a financial background. The people want light. Okay? So let me just make that clear. Let me repeat. The member is saying that his position is that he would not release the $150 million unless he knew where the $200 million was coming from. That's what he said. Hansard is there. Hansard is there. And I am telling you.
Minister, please.
Let me just say it again. Based on the meeting that took place yesterday, we are confident, based on the meeting that had the representative of the Ministry of Finance at the highest level, the Minister and the Financial Secretary, you can't go any higher, that we are prepared to release the $150 billion tonight if it means that the people are going to get back light sooner than later. You are wicked and evil. Bad mind don't go on yet from September 3rd.
Members.
Wicked and evil. Mr. Speaker.
Minister, hold. Members. Members from the opposition side.
You are an uncaring set.
If you
are a heartless set.
If you do not allow the minister to continue, then we will have to go to something else. Please. You do not have the floor. Member from St. Catherine North Central, you do not have the floor.
Mr. Speaker.
You will find out in short.
Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead, Minister.
The $150 million that the government is prepared to release as soon as the documentation is in place, which will be no later than a matter of hours to a day, because of the urgency, is specific for restoration over 2 months, December and January. That $150 billion is ring-fenced to deal with a restoration program that will take care of Jamaica, not only some parishes. And if you are going to tell me that there are people in this house that would question a government in a crisis like this to hold $150 million that we have availability now to find out about $200 million